What the hell? That's an early benefit, man. You gonna miss the first one, boy, fuck though. Douglas, man. Yo, pay boy. I look clean, I ran them. Call you ain't Judy people's boss. No way. No way. That's called selling. I might dodge into one of them narcs. I chuck myself in a tree. Yeah, I might need Kia there. I jump straight in the tree. Yeah. What cares can I roll? What we do? I supposed to hit them? Alright, I can pull off here. Oh, I'm just bouncing off the hill so bad. I fly straight in the tree, big man. I'll get back closer to me. How's it get when you mean that he jumped straight in the tree then? Holy Monday day did? Nah. Aynen. Yeah, Jack Boy dropping a new song too. Oh, is this it? That's the fuck name. Hey, Rissa in here though. Hey, Rissa in here, boys. Fabian. Jesus. Yeah, they got Krieger. I thought I might drive with these steers. What the hell? So I know you attack out with it. Cool. Don't panic, man, Matthew. Don't panic. Hey, hold down with that there, no. Serious business here. They're on laps. They gonna invest in one for real, boy. Yeah. And this game around in circles. Oh, this ain't like Rolls Royce here in front of me. Around them, man. Wait. I stalk our J. Wait. I know that I watch out there, boy. Yeah. Copy master close on me, so. Fabian. Jeez. Fabian L2, big man. Boss, you on the outside, Vets on the inside. Vets, they got to do that with that. Freeway speaker?
Ik ga dat van weer. Ik had het al van haar.
Oh, you want that? Yeah. Huh? I say you want that? That's very My mind, you still punch me? What you doing? Nah, I don't want to make. Nah, isolate over there. Isolate over there. I was gonna make the inside. Good race? You put milk for me. Talk about good race? Yes, boss. That way, glad I got you on your stream. You on the inside. You want favorite? You want think me and big man? Nah, don't wanna squeeze me in, boss. I got it clear. That way I can get screen recorded. No. The one you may know screen now. Draft it. Draft it. No. Me care about. Me care about here. No. Yo, you did it here. So a few minutes push me into you. Alright name Fabian, alright name. 30 no? Don't stick me up. No, we got nothing to do. I'm not stick me up.
The NFL season, we've been really disappointed in the Cleveland Browns. Like, the expectations were very high. They made some acquisitions in the offseason to add to a roster that already was really impressive, that had Myles Garrett, maybe the best defensive player in the league. They added John Johnson, maybe the best safety in the league. They got Denzel Ward. They got all of these offensive weapons, and I know they've gotten rid of Odell Beckham, but I was told that was going to make them better. They got a great Pro Bowl level running backs in one, and Nick Chubb that is going
No
to be
way.
MVP caliber at some point in this season.
Sports.
They have all this, and they're being led by #1 overall pick quarterback who's
Nah, boy.
deep in his career now. Like, he's not a rookie anymore, who's a veteran. Like, this was the year.
See if this continue. See if this continue again. Work. Yeah.
Waning. You have the Bengals who are up and down.
It was your fault.
Quarterback only in his second year, coming off injuries with a bad offensive line. Ravens
Yeah.
ravaged by injuries, and then you have the Pittsburgh Steelers who have an offensive line that couldn't really put together any running attack or protect their quarterback, who we all, I think, agree is past their prime. Like, this should have been a division that was dominated by the Bengals, and now we're in a position where they may not even make the playoffs.
Whoa.
The future there is
Whoa.
kind of uncertain. But coming into
You
the
see-
season, I didn't
You see this continue.
but I thought they had the best
All right.
roster in the division. With a
What position you in though?
year type of coach, like, this is
Oh, good.
a really
See if this continue. What you working though? They say this is our thing though.
with this division, with a division that has a lot of problems, and they aren't. They're struggling with it. They are likely not even going to win it anymore.
Like continue then.
Well, the interesting thing about what you just
See if we don't get so you don't get mine another one.
all those kinds of things, the ball hasn't dropped yet, bro. Like, it's still 2021, and the new year isn't here. The ball hasn't dropped. They still have a chance, even with their depleted roster and struggling, still have a chance to win the division, right? If the Chiefs beat the Bengals, which a lot of people think that they probably will, Chiefs have won 8 in a row. Chiefs beat the Bengals, and the Cleveland Browns beat the Steelers, then whoever wins in the Week 18 matchup versus the Bengals and the Browns wins the division. And so I get it. Like, if all was lost and the season was over and there was no chance in this, I don't know if you call it a good division or a bad division, I'm not really sure based off of what you
Late
said.
continue.
There's no, I mean, give me a little chance that I'm with you. But the ball hasn't dropped. You said this was supposed to be a bad or weak division. This actually, people think the Ravens were supposed to be a good team, supposed to be a strong division.
So you gonna turn for me? You turn to get hard? The gas? You AFC main field like this boy. You can see that boy.
This is a tough division.
Might try to turn to get hard gas.
Some people might call it a weak division. I don't know. In this division, they still have the ability to go and win the division. And so for me, you can't call them a disappointment and say that they dropped the ball when the ball hasn't dropped. Now it might be bobbling, you might be bobbling the ball, or it might be almost, but it hasn't dropped yet. The ball is bobbling, it may be all the way down, but it ain't dropped, nothing has shattered. Cleveland has a very good chance, based off of Cincinnati playing Kansas City. I think that's going to be a loss for Cincinnati. That's one.
Your question about whether it's a good division or bad division, before the season started, I thought it was a good division. And then the Ravens lost all their running backs and all their cornerbacks, and then Lamar Jackson got hurt, and we found out that the Steelers still can't protect and can't run the ball, and then it kind of became a bad division. The Bengals were up and down with losses to some pretty bad teams, but some pretty impressive wins. So I think it's a mediocre division. It's a division. The point I was making is a division that roster in Cleveland should have run away with. And you're right. The ball has not completely dropped yet, but that thing is a millimeter off of the ground right now, according to FBI.
great. So Ravens just on the outside of that playoff picture, and then we know Lamar Jackson's health totally in question. So are the playoff hopes essentially done, especially if Lamar is hurt?
Yes, absolutely. It reminds me of and like people be like, and you're done, right? And Ravens, you're done. And it has nothing to do with your talent. It's the lack thereof. It's about the people who aren't able to play. It's about all your running backs.
This is the first time the two quarterbacks have squared off.
I'm gonna press the wrong team there.
If the playoffs, we're gonna begin so great.
I don't know. We had, inside jokes in high school, and like people be like, and you're done, right? And Ravens, you're done. And it has nothing to do with your talent. It's the lack thereof. It's about the people who aren't able to play. It's about running backs who are injured. It's about Marlon Humphrey, your Pro Bowl, your All-Pro cornerback.
One all.
The other DBs who hurt. It's about offensive line. It's about now your quarterback who's gone. So for me, it's not the fact that the Ravens aren't a team generally and historically. It's a fact that this year in 2021, this isn't the Ravens. It's just like the Ravens, like the ride. You know what I mean? It just stops like at the ends. Leave the back half off of it because it's not the same football team. So you're done.
Okay, so the Rams are only a 4.5-point favorite. I say only because I feel like with all of the injuries and if there's no Lamar Jackson, you feel like it would be bigger. What do you think, Mike T? Do you think that the playoff hopes for the Ravens are out the window, especially considering how we saw Lamar Jackson limping around practice yesterday?
Yeah, it's I'll complete the word for Sam. It's the Ravens, and they have the heart of a champion, and they have a great head coach. And because of that, I can't count them out. And in this game, I am worried about their corners against the and Matt Stafford and OBJ's coming along for the Rams. But they're at home. If they beat the Rams and if the Chiefs beat the Bengals, which according to Sam is a mortal lot, all they have to do is beat the Steelers and they're back in the playoffs. So I think it's a real possibility. And if this game's in LA, it might feel different, but it's one. Huntley has surprised people. I think Baltimore can beat the Rams this weekend.
And Mike T, I think you're right. You're absolutely right. Actually, the Ravens absolutely do have the heart of a champion. The only issue is they just had open heart surgery, bro. Everybody is gone. The heart issues right now. So I'm everybody's pro Ravens and a fan of the Ravens and what they've done historically. I am. I love the way their defense has played. Offensively, they had the #1 rushing offense the last 2 years, so we get it. But this is not the same. This is not the same team, the same players that are going to be out there. This is different guys, second string, third string, even fourth string guys. So I get it. Harbaugh is a phenomenal coach. He can do phenomenal things. But I don't think he can own the Rams football team that has to win 3 or even 4 games in a row. And so for me, I'm going Rams, heart of the champion, correct, but that heart has been replaced.
Okay, if Lamar Jackson is not 100%, obviously it takes away his biggest strength, which would be his mobility. And so the question is he going to play or is he not going to play? And Jeremy Fowler, I hear you have an update. What you got?
Well, it's not looking good right now. They're hoping that
I really sitting on a wall laughing,
over the next few days. You know, they'll probably give him through the weekend just to see how he feels. But Tyler Huntley is on track to start this game. And I don't even know if Lamar Jackson is a slam dunk for Week 18. I think the Ravens are going to keep waiting for him to come save the day. That would look plausible right now based on the way he was moving around. Yeah, I talked to somebody with the Ravens who said it's great that he practiced on Wednesday for the first time since December 12th. He just doesn't look like himself right now, so not looking good.
Yeah, I know a lot of times these teams, and this is just from me covering the NFL for a few years, these teams will have a player practice and see how he reacts to it. Obviously, this news is not great considering he didn't react great to that practice. Jeremy, thank you so much. Okay, we're going to get some picks now, and we're going to play this the same kind of way because all of us are on the bandwagon here with the Rams. Like, the Rams are going to go in. They're not as bruised and having open heart surgery, according to Sam Acho. But then we've got Mike T here as the contrarian this time. So who are you taking, Mike Tannenbaum?
Yeah, I'm going with Baltimore, and again, they're at home, they have a better special team, and I think they're going to find a way. And I like Tyler Huntley. I think he'll make enough plays against the Rams, which are vulnerable on defense. We know about Aaron Donald, know about Jalen Ramsey, but there are plays you can make against.
All right, our Steelers reporter, Brooke Pryor, now gets up with us for more good.
Meanwhile, Gav, it's official. Ferran Torres is a Barcelona player. Before I ask you if it's a good deal or not, how can you announce it when the window is not even open and Fiorentina, for example, are waiting for the 3rd of Jan to announce Ikoné? And I'm pretty sure a lot of the clubs who have deals in place are waiting, but no, Barca is just like, hey, look, him with the shirt, training, etc. When it's not even allowed yet.
I think Man City announced it too.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I spent a lot of time on it. So you can do a deal to transfer a contract whenever you want.
Yeah.
The transfer window is actually a registration window. So you can't actually register the transfer with FIFA, with what they call FIFA TMS, the transfer matching system, until the window officially opens in Spain, which I think is January 1st, maybe January 3rd. So you have to wait until that to do it, right? So right now he's just a guy who's hanging out at the Camp Nou, right? And Barcelona, presumably they're paying his wages. Then on top of that, they have to go and register him with the Spanish League, because obviously they're spending capital for this season. They're going to have to shift a whole bunch of players to do it. I ran through the numbers. I reckon that they need to free up. I reckon that it's going to cost them, between amortization and wages, possibly commission, roughly 8 to 9 million euros between now and the end of the season. Which is why I don't understand why not take him on loan with an obligation to buy. I thought would have made a lot more sense. So to free up that amount, so to be able to spend that amount, because of the 4-to-1 ratio in spending, they have to save them, find 32 million plus in savings. So some of that will come from half a season's wages of Sergio Aguero. The rest, I don't know. I think they're going to have to sell it and invest.
If they don't sell anyone, okay, that means Ferran Torres won't be
Rocky, how's it doing out here?
You'll be able to train.
but he won't be able to play.
You need seafood.
Yeah, but he can go to the side of Emilia, but he can't play.
No, he can't play. If they can't register him, he can't play. It's as simple as that. Now, one of the things that was supposed to make the Torres deal possible was Ousmane Dembele taking a pay cut and extending his contract.
No.
We are ready.
Ousmane, who got married, by the way, well done, Ousmane, for getting married, big party. He said no. They said no. Why would I take a pay cut? I'm out of contract in the summer.
You know what, this shows to me that he listens to our show, because on Monday, when Nadim and I did the show, I said, Ousmane, don't sign the contract now. There's no reason for you to do it. Leave it. He said, no, he takes a pay cut and become effective next season anyway. So,
Yeah.
Could just stick on behind me, so?
And you know what? He knows he's going to get big offers. I think there's a lot of interest for him.
I don't think there is, but, you know, okay, we'll see.
He might well stay.
But he may stay, yeah. But there's no reason to put pen to paper.
Let me get away from here, though.
I think he...
Let me get from here. Stay behind me.
Thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For
Hi, Brett.
more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.
Our colleague Mark Lockditch was reporting that Real Madrid might not just sign Mbappe, which they haven't signed him yet, but of course,
Jeez, on me.
US, some guy named Erling Braut Haaland as well.
No way. Wow. The Galacticos are back. Is that what Florentino is trying to do?
It would seem that way. Now, obviously, we talk about money, you have to, but
Boy.
Mbappe obviously would be a free transfer. Haaland would be 70 release clause, which we think is around 70 million.
Yeah.
Then, of course, plus the commission from Mino and the commission from Mbappe's dad. But they're going to have a much lower wage bill, because I was actually just working this out between Bale leaving, between who's out of contract, between Marcelo leaving, who's out of contract, Isco leaving, who's out of contract. Modric is out of contract too, though. I wouldn't be surprised if Modric ends up staying. You're clearing up quite a lot in wages.
What he has.
You know how much it costs you in terms of wages?
It could be a number.
We're around the 30 million a year.
Okay, that's nothing. That's less than Bale.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
DNF, boy.
And then you take the remainder of Bale's wages.
You would think that Haaland would get paid as much as Mbappe, right?
And Mino too. They take care of Mino as well.
I just think, listen, I've got no doubt that financially they would be able to do the two deals, because it's the right time. The timing is right with Mbappe being out of contract, with Haaland having that release clause. Otherwise, Haaland will cost you 200 plus million. So this is only the right time to go for it and sign two. not really sure what happens with Karim Benzema and Vinicius Junior. If you sign Haaland and Mbappe, then you have a lot of players attacking wise. But
alright, yeah, done it. I know what to do now.
So it's getting closer to the end than to the beginning. No problem. But yeah, I mean, go for it, of course. If you can sign both, the next
4-4-2. Play 4-4-2. There you go. You've got Casemiro.
It's very exciting, and I've got no doubt that they can do both. And I'm sure Kylian, we know this is his dream. We can, although nothing is done and signed, we can say that it's looking good. And then Haaland, if Haaland doesn't want to move to England first, for example, and would rather go Real Madrid 5 years or maybe even more or whatever, and then maybe come to England, I would want to think that Haaland at some point wants to play in England, right? Would you agree?
I would want to think that at some point he wants to play for Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Because everybody. I'm just kidding.
No, but I think that's probably true too.
So I'm just thinking about this because we've all remarked upon like there's so many players on a contract this summer. Real Madrid are in a very good position.
I know what to do now.
A U.S. sports term, they'll have a lot of money under the cap.
Yeah.
And you can go for these free agents. But what I'm curious, obviously they've been strongly linked with Rudiger. If you commit all this money to Mbappe and Haaland, do you also then definitely need Rudiger as well, or can you go Militao, Nacho, I squeeze another year out of this?
I think you need
See, my picture there, crop there.
Then you would go for a veteran like Rudiger. Or Ginter.
I don't know, they also want a midfielder and we're linked with Gravenberch and Pogba and all of that. I just don't think you can do everything. It's either maybe you do Kylian and Hurling and then that's it. If you want to strengthen more positions, then you might have to choose between Mbappe and Haaland, and I think they would choose Mbappe.
Yeah,
if they can send just one of the two, you think they go for Mbappe, yeah?
Oh, no question. Also because it's just cheaper. There's no Mino involved. I mean, I think in the end, we said the transfer is 70 million. I would assume the commission for Mino, especially if the new transfer regulations, they don't want it kicked in. Between Mino and his dad and Haaland's dad, I think you're looking at another 30 to 40 million on top of that easily, right? So then you're talking about 110 million. Now Haaland might be worth a lot more than that, so you still do the deal. Modric is also out of contract. I think given the way he's played, given his habit, you extend Modric just to have
another year. I think he'd take another year. He's 36 years old.
So that being the situation, I don't know. I wonder because I think you could go a season with Toko and Isak. We have 4 great strikers. We've got 3 people. I mean,
you give it in front of me.
Playing wide, which I think he did very, very, very early in his career. In France. But you've got 4 guys in positions, maybe. I can rotate. So it's a long season. You can rotate those 4, right?
Yeah, of course you can. Of course.
That's not a problem, and you would accept that for 1 year. Maybe it makes it easier to settle in. So that part's okay. Midfield, do they definitely need a Gravenberch or a Pogba in there? Or do you say,
just to prepare the post-Modric era, right?
Yeah, but I got the right left with Camavinga and Valverde. Valverde doesn't keep catching COVID.
But surely the future of Real Madrid midfield is Camavinga, Valverde, and the third one, that's Pogba and Gravenberch. I mean, Gravenberch is still very young. Like Camavinga, so
also a Mino client, so maybe you can get a package deal there.
Yeah, package deal,
and you get a defender, right?
And
then you hope Dani Carvajal stays fit because that would, at that point that would be the only question mark left in the squad, right?
That would be probably interesting. It looks impressive.
Watch this space. Don't think it's going to be easy.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.
Man, you don't care, big man?
Alright, well let's move on to talk about Lukaku. Romelu Lukaku's latest quotes about his current situation at Chelsea. Now it must be said these were a few weeks ago and they were said to Sky Sport Italia. Physically I'm fine, he says, but I'm not happy with the situation at Chelsea. Tuchel has chosen to play with another system. I won't give up, I'll be professional. I am not happy with the situation, but I am professional.
Good job.
I can't give up now. Gab Marcotti is joining us now to talk
about
this. This is Romelu Lukaku also on returning to Inter from the same interview. Said, I've always said that I have Inter in my heart. I know I'll return to Inter. I really hope from the bottom of my heart to return to Inter. Not at the end of my career, but when I'm still at the top level to win more together. And given the situation that's going on at Chelsea at the moment, you can understand why there's been a bit of upset. So, Gab, first of all, the translation is accurate from what Lukaku said, right?
So this is part of a longer interview. They've only aired clips of it. The translation is accurate, but I think if you look at the context of it and the way it sounds in Italian, which is what he was speaking, it comes across a little bit different. It comes across as somebody who, had been back fit for a number of games, hadn't started any Premier League games since his return, and he's basically saying, look, I'm not getting into the side. The coach is playing a different system. I'm not happy with it. I want to start. I'm going to keep being professional and working harder. I genuinely don't think he meant anything more than that, and certainly not, if this is going to be your next question, whether he's trying to engineer some kind of return to Inter, because I think he knows very well what the situation is at Inter, and that right now that's entirely untenable.
But a Chelsea fan doesn't want to hear that, surely, from Romelu Lukaku about this player wanting to return to Inter. Not right now, anyway.
But he was out of the team with injury. Then he had a COVID. He was infected with COVID. He had the protocols of that. I'm not 100% sure what he's talking about with systems, because it's been pretty much playing the same way, but you had different personnel in there. I thought it was more of a case of Tuchel protecting Lukaku a little bit in terms of the long season, the injury, had him on the bench. So I don't quite know the system scenario, what he was talking about, because Thomas Tuchel's pretty much played the same way.
It's kind of brainless. There's some really brainless things to say.
But he's spoken about him positively since, but does it matter when these quotes came out?
Oh, listen, whenever you get pulled up when you've slaughtered somebody, then you will start to spin it the other way and say, well, I didn't mean that. He's basically criticised the manager, saying that what he told him's not true. He doesn't like the way they play. I mean, who says that to the manager? And by the way, my heart is still in Inter. That's exactly what you said, what the fans want to hear. I mean, it's kind of brainless comments, isn't it?
If you're a Chelsea fan, no, it's not what you want to hear. But in all honesty, because I read that, that's exactly what I thought. But Gab put it into a different context, I think paints a slightly different picture that you have to appreciate. But knowing the British media, particularly the tabloid media, they are going to go to town with this, and all of a sudden Romelu Lukaku is going to have to be defending.
18 shot.
Right? Yes, but he's doing an interview in Italian with an Italian newspaper, and you take snippets out of it, and it makes good tabloid fodder, and that's what it is.
Well, we can't blame the media for this one, Shaka. I think that there's something lost in translation here. I mean, that is the way you kind of talk and everything. But this is not to show loyalty to Chelsea Football Club. But yes, this should be made a couple of 3 weeks ago, and maybe they have talked it out later, and he's back in the team and he's doing the job for his team again. But Sky Italy would never put this on without his acceptance. So I don't like this. I think that is a stupid thing to say, and I don't think that's what you should say. In a lot of games coming up with Chelsea struggling a bit, it's not what they need, and I think the loyalty has to go both ways, not only from the club.
Gab?
I mean, look, I don't think we can have it both ways. I don't think we can have a situation where we want players to be honest and not give bland post-match quotes and bland interviews. Or whether you want people to be if I were a Chelsea fan, I would just say, oh look, I'm back from injury, I'm training, I'm working hard. I always come off the bench because he plays other guys, but I'm happy with that. That's fine because I get paid a ton of money. Of course, he's not going to be happy with the situation. You're right. The translation, the word he used in Italian, you can translate as system. You can also translate.
Boy, gives Dre to me. You weird, yeah.
It's referring to the personnel. Needless to say, Italian is not
turn on.
But I think even people who don't like Lukaku would tend to agree that whatever else he is, he's not stupid. This is a very, very bright guy. And when somebody goes and does something like this, you have to ask yourself, is he being devious? Is he trying to engineer something? And there's no way Inter can afford him. There's no way he's going back to Inter. It's just not happening. It's certainly not happening now. He's talking about some point in the future he'd love to go back because he had a great time in Milan. But he knows it's not going to be now because the club don't have any money. So certainly that's how I read it. I read it just saying, look, I'm not getting in the team. I obviously have to convince Tuchel to let me start from the beginning. Maybe he thinks I get injured. Maybe whatever his reasons are. Maybe he likes Werner and Havertz better. I got to get back in there. And, you know, the game he started against Brighton, that was his first Premier League start since the beginning of October.
So, listen, there's two things, Gav. He's clearly not as bright as you think he is. And the other point, and the most important point is, it's not a footballer's job to be honest with the press. It's a footballer's job to do his job to the best of his ability, his loyalty to the club, and not to say anything stupid that reporters and analysts and media and people like us could jump on and give him grief over. It's not his job to be honest.
How is it stupid? How is it stupid to say, I'm working hard, I'm not happy with not playing?
How is it not stupid?
Did you like it when your player said, oh, look, Nichols not putting me in the team, but that's okay, I'm delighted, I love sitting on the bench and collecting my paycheck. Is that what you wanted?
That's not what he said.
I tell you what,
criticised the system and then said that what Tuchel told him he wasn't telling the truth. That's completely different than somebody complaining.
How long
I tell you what is stupid, right? And I admire everybody who has honesty. However, when you're brought in for the fee that he has been brought in, right, to be not his words or you know, quote unquote, the guy that's going to make the difference between Chelsea winning the league potentially or not. He is one of the final pieces of the jigsaw. A successful guy, an experienced international footballer who's just signed big bucks for this club, less than 6 months into a contract, and he's talking about potentially going back to play in Italy for Inter, and not when he's finished playing, but when he's in his prime. Well, he's 28.
But it's
only going to be in his prime a year or two down the line. So I think it's silly.
I would just want to say that we can sit in different places around the world, and if he's stupid or not stupid, if his comments are stupid or not comment. But what I will say, Gab, I think that the timing of it is dreadful. I mean, it's a time when Chelsea is struggling, and you may say that they did that 2-3 weeks ago, but there's no way Lukaku would have not accepted that it comes on now. That is point one. I spoke to a Belgian friend of mine who is a journalist who follows Lukaku, and I said, what's your take on this? And he said, he talks too much. And I think that is just, and that I agree with Stevie Nicol. Why should he talk? No, why don't he just shut up and score goals? And I'm not saying that, and I'm not saying that, Gab, in a disrespect to a player, but because we don't want boring players. But I think his timing on this statement was terrible.
And all he's done here is pile more pressure on himself, because what happens now is... I agree with you there, Craig. All I would say is it's a half-hour interview. We've seen 3 minutes and 11 seconds of it. The rest of it airs tomorrow here in Europe.
Yeah, the weekend kicks off with Arsenal against Manchester City. I want to take you back to one of the first weeks of the season back in August, and a scoreline which looks very one-sided and ultimately was Manchester City 5, Arsenal 0. But I remember watching that game in the first 5 minutes. Arsenal were really good. Now, they'd already lost at Brentford. They were having a tough start to the season, but once that first goal from Gundogan went in, it was pretty much a bit of a capitulation for Arsenal. Given Man City's recent record at the Emirates, a 1-0 win last season, and prior to that, a 4-1 win as well, do you make City overwhelming favourites, or given Arsenal's recent form, which is excellent, do you think the Gunners have got a decent chance here?
Yeah,
Well, I mean, a lot of things would have to fall their way, right? I mean, you're talking about every time you play against Manchester City, you have to be nearly perfect, right? Manchester City are still overwhelming favorites, but there are some situations where I can see Arsenal, for example. I mean, we've seen what happened, and I don't want to compare, the last game 5-0. That's also the game where Granit Xhaka got a red card as well. But it was a 3-0 before halftime to Manchester City, right? If you look at Manchester City against Leicester, right, it was 4-0, game over. Thank you very much. Even though Leicester City came back in that game, so obviously early in the game, Arsenal cannot afford to do what they did last time they met each other with that 5-0 game that you mentioned. This was pretty quick, 3 goals in the first half, and the game was over. And because City are going to give you chances, because that's how City play. They commit 7, 8, sometimes 9 players going forward. And if you watch the way Arsenal are playing right now, they, I don't want to call them very much a counter-attacking team, but that's what they do, and that's why they feel comfortable, right? And just remember the last game against Norwich City. Some will say, well, it's Norwich City, but you still have to pull it off. And I specifically remember that second goal. I think Kieran Tierney scored.
I said,
Roy. About that. Very quick movement from right side to left side. Martinez starts as Odegaard changes the point of attack. Kieran Tierney would overlap and run. This is where you can hurt Manchester City. Leicester City has proven that, and we've seen it. Because they're wide open, they will attack you. So I do see chances for Arsenal because I think the young players right now are confident. They have all kinds of momentum, as you've mentioned. But, if you go to history, I mean, I don't remember the last time Arsenal have beaten Manchester City. The last 5 games, no competitions or losses, maybe even goes deeper than that. So it should be absolutely interesting. But look, to a degree, you're playing with house money if you Arsenal, right? You've got to ride that momentum. You are at home. You've got to make sure you don't concede in the first 15, 20 minutes, maybe even first half. And you will get chances on the counter. And if Arsenal can take advantage of that like they did against Norwich City, it's possible.
I don't think Arsenal have lost since they went to Goodison at the start of December. Do you think there's a lack of a fear factor here? Because the kids, you mentioned them, they've got all the youngsters in there. Saka, Martinelli, who's really come good with a run of form. Odegaard, Smith Rowe scoring when he comes off the bench. Do you think that lack of a fear factor? And look, they're going to respect Man City, but they're going to have a go because, as you quite rightly said, you will get chances. Does that suggest we'll get lots of goals in this one if Arsenal are prepared to carefully have a go?
I think we could, and look, I think there is a lack of fear because there were low expectations that Arsenal set themselves, right, early in the season. I think there's going to be some pressure coming in right now, and of course a game like this is always a pressure cooker. Not only that, Arsenal have not done well against the big teams this season, right? I mean, they've been getting points where they're supposed to be getting points, which is good. It's gotten them to the 4th spot. But forget Manchester City, they are in that 4th spot, and all of a sudden the conversation changes, Mark, right? It starts from here we go with Arsenal, mid-table, another bad season, will Arteta stay or go, to now we need to keep that 4th place because that pressure is going to be piling on from the supporters and from within the club because Arsenal Football Club desperately needs to be in the Champions League. They're a massive club that has been underperforming. So that pressure is going to come, and we'll see how they deal with it. And on top of that, these young players against Manchester City are going to be without Mikel Arteta on the sidelines. And I think with young players, it may be a problem a little bit because he's pretty hands-on and talks through the game like that. So it's going to be interesting how they react.
Arsenal with momentum, having won at Norwich, keeping it going, good form, but without their coach, against the City side who played in midweek as well. But Arsenal had that break in midweek, were meant to be playing well so they could be refreshed. What do Arsenal have to do to stop a City side that, if they play, are probably the best team in the league?
Yeah, break could be helpful, but for Liverpool it wasn't, right? Sometimes you want to keep that momentum going, just like Liverpool, Arsenal probably would want to play as well. As I've said, a couple of things they need to do. One, obviously not to concede early, break Manchester City's pressure, which they can do. Once they get past it, as I've said, I think you have to be really lethal when you get those chances, because on one hand you say, well, you get. Look at Leicester City. They were 4-0 down. They scored 3 goals.
and that still wasn't enough. So that's why I think the balance comes into play here, right? You know, you don't have to score 2 people. Score 1 or 2, but just make sure that you keep Manchester City in check, because the problem is, even if Arsenal were to score, even if they're in good position, look what Manchester City can bring in the second half to change the game. Something that I don't feel Arsenal and many clubs don't have. I don't think you have as many game changers as Manchester City. And let's not forget, some of these players are rested for one reason or another. Injuries, or maybe falling out a little bit, you know, with Pep Guardiola, like Phil Foden, like Jack Grealish. So these players, not only are they deep, but they're somewhat rested and at pretty much full strength when you look at Manchester City.
Yeah. Final question. City have lost Ferran Torres, that's their choice, they've sold him to Barcelona. Do they even need to add anybody in January, given the momentum and the way that they're playing?
No, they don't need it. We all know what happens in January, especially in the environment that we're in right now, financial environment. I think unless something spectacular, you know, falls into their lap, I don't think you're gonna see Manchester City doing anything. Obviously, they got a lot of money for Ferran Torres, and I think, you know, Manchester City will wait until the summer to fight for the likes of Erling Haaland and maybe Harry Kane, and maybe another big, massive name that they usually sign once a year.
Since you go to Arsenal this weekend, they've got a really good record against the Gunners of late. This time of year, you get some funky results. Just ask Liverpool and Leicester in midweek.
Our colleague Mark Ogden, Jules, reporting that Real Madrid might not just sign Mbappe in the summer, which they haven't signed him yet, but of course, strongly linked.
Let's.
Some guy named Erling Braut Haaland as well.
No way! Wow. The Galacticos are back? Is that what Florentino is trying to do?
It would seem that way. Now, obviously you talk about money if you don't have to, but, you know, Mbappe obviously would be a free transfer. Haaland would be a 70 release clause, which we think is around 70 million.
Yeah.
Then, of course, plus the commission for Mino and the commission for Mbappe's dad. But they're going to have a much lower wage bill, because I was actually just working this out, between Bale leaving, who's out of contract, between Marcelo leaving, Isco leaving, who's out of contract. Modric is out of contract too. I wouldn't be surprised if Modric ends up staying. You're clearing up quite a lot in wages.
You know how much cleaning would cost you in terms of wages, yeah?
Give me a number.
We're around the 30 million a year.
Okay, that's nothing. That's less than Bale.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And then you take the remainder of Bale's wages.
You would think that Haaland would get paid as much as Mbappe, right?
And Mino too. You take care of Mino as well.
I just think, listen, I've got no doubt that financially they will be able to do the two deals, because it's the right time. The timing is right with Mbappe being out of contract, with Haaland having that release clause. Otherwise, Haaland will cost you.
Oh, this is be a killer, boy.
So this is certainly the right time.
This is be a killer, boy.
Not really sure what happens with Karim Benzema and Vinicius Junior. If you sign Haaland and Mbappe, then you have a lot of players attacking wise, but obviously Karim has just turned 34, so it's getting closer to the end than to the beginning. No problem. But yeah, I mean, go for it, of course. If you can sign both, the next 4-4-2.
Play 4-4-2. There you go.
Yeah.
You've got Casemiro.
It's very exciting, and I've got no doubt that they can do both. And I'm sure Kylian, we know it's his dream, and we can, although nothing is done and signed, we can say that it's looking good. And then Haaland, if Haaland doesn't want to move to England first, for example, and would rather go Real Madrid 5 years or maybe even more or whatever, and then maybe come to England, I would want to think that Haaland at some point wants to play in England, right? Would you agree?
I would want to think that at some point he wants to play for Real Madrid.
Yeah,
because everybody. No, just kidding.
No, but I think that's probably true too.
So I'm just thinking about this because we've all remarked upon so many players out of contract this summer. Real Madrid are in a very good position because to use a US sports term, they'll have a lot of money under the cap, and you can go for these free agents. But what I'm curious, obviously, they've been strongly linked with Rudiger. Yeah. If you commit all this money to Mbappe and Haaland, do you also then definitely need Rudiger as well, or can you go Alaba, Militao, Nacho, I squeeze another year out of this?
I think you need something like that for sure.
for a veteran like Rudiger or Ginter.
I don't know, they also want a midfielder and we're linked with Gravenberch and Pogba and all of that. I just don't think you can do everything. It's either maybe you do Kylian and Hurling and then that's it. If you want to strengthen more positions, then you might have to choose between Mbappe and Haaland, and I think they would choose Mbappe.
Yeah,
if they can send just one of the two, you think they go for Mbappe, yeah?
Oh, no question. Also because it's just cheaper. There's no Mino involved. Yeah, I mean, I think in the end, we said the transfer is 70 million. I would assume the commission for Mino, especially if they knew transfer regulations, they won't have kicked in. Between Mino and his dad and Haaland's dad, I think you're looking at another 30 to 40 million on top of that easily, right? So you're talking about 110 million. Now Haaland might be worth a lot more than that, so you still do the deal. Modric is also out of contract. He's played. If that's happening, you extend Modric.
Another year. I think he'll take another year. He's 36 years old.
So that being the situation, I don't know. I wonder because I think you could blow a season where you tell Kareem and isn't Kareem. We have 4 great strikers. We've got 3 people. I mean, Kareem might have to go back to playing wide, which I think he did very, very, very early in his career.
Really.
France. But you've got 4 guys in different positions, maybe, and you rotate. So it's a long season. Yeah. You can rotate those.
Mackie? Nope. Matt there? Nah.
That's not a problem, and you would accept that for 1 year. Maybe it makes it easier to settle in. So that part's okay. Midfielder, they definitely need a Gravenberch.
You'll get slits from you.
Or do you say
it's just to prepare the post-Modric era, right?
Yeah, but I got the right left with Camavinga and
I am a slits from off on the body.
Catching COVID.
But surely the future of Real Madrid midfield is Camavinga,
I can't let that DNF boy.
Gravenberch. I mean, Gravenberch is still very young.
Yeah.
Like Camavinga, so...
Also a Mino client, so then maybe you get a package deal there.
Yeah, package deal, yeah.
And then you get a defender.
Right?
And then you hope Dani Carvajal stays fit, because that would, at that point, that would be the only question mark left in the squad, right?
That would be probably much so. It looks impressive.
Watch the space. Don't think it's going to be easy.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN...
Before the video begins, make sure you subscribe. Playlist. KSI quits. Harry, why did he quit?
He quit because he got the bloody COVID.
Mayhem. Let's go.
Jingle bell ball. Are you ready?
Jingle bell ball. Are you ready?
Job done.
Sounds like old school GTA. Not fun memories. Yeah, no, he's like stuck in the forest somewhere.
And you just have to make it up a ramp.
Yeah.
Why are you not turning? Turn!
Everybody move.
Stay!
Oh no. Oh no, don't do that. Don't do that.
Go, Vic, go!
Vic, don't do that. You mean JJ. Yeah, me and JJ.
Oh, Vic! I've helped him.
Made it.
Vic, you can go now, bro. Bro, the turning circle.
I'm
not so good.
I'm stuck. I'll come on. I'm not having fun, guys. Ow.
Why?
Ow. What a bit. What smoke do you want today?
All of it.
We good?
Yes.
Very big. How much smoke? Yes. That's me. I don't know how it done. I don't know what. Josh, it's just you and second.
Yeah. A volley, Victor. Vic, man, you're always in the way. Vic! This isn't me. It's Vic.
Stop touching me, you creep.
It's been very aggressive. Somebody touching my track. Stop touching me! I'm bouncing. Vic!
Somebody touch my spaghetti.
This way, mate. Oh! Sitting up! No! Stop!
Let Simon go first.
Everyone's all over. Yes! You! You mean we? You did that. Get away from me. Vic, Big Star's doing some racing now.
How have I got
Oh, Big Star.
Oh!
TY Battle Big Star. Oh, God. Ow. Who did I just send? Oh, my word.
Oh, is that it?
Oh,
wait, that was it?
Bye, Vic.
Shit! I've got wide! I've got wide in the final corner!
Come on!
You did that, by the way.
Oh! Circle! He's been done!
Was that Harry again?
I'm holding. Don't go all the way down. If you go all the way down, we die.
Alright, get out here.
Oh no, that's gonna blow up. That's gonna blow up.
Harry, what have you done?
You have to go down below, lads.
I'm here, I'm still here. Jump, jump.
Big dog. Big. Come on, boy, 2 versus 1. Look at the depths. Look at the depths, boys. Oh, Big Dog's aggressive. Aggressive game right now.
Assassin right now. Oh shit! I can't get him.
Oh, Zerka.
I actually can't get him.
No, oh no.
Silence on you, bro. I got this, don't worry.
Let's see it. Fresh whip. Oh, he's charging.
Oh, so 1v1?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I believe that you've got the break. Yeah.
Doing a fist fight, Simon. Fist fight? Yeah. Alright.
Oh, here we go. Settling it on the mean streets. Oh! Oh no! No!
Kirby, come on!
Big! Big, don't do it to him! Oh!
How do you know? I got such a good heal on you there.
Like that
bro, how do you combo, bro? Even with the little dodge combo. The one-way combo. Thank you. Right.
Just doing the Bez's curves on him. It's like on the floor.
Try jumping.
Bro, just lying there getting kicked.
There's another round. How many rounds are there?
It's 3, bro.
Bob wants to go on the high.
You got one for how many have you won so far?
2.
You know you won that last round, right, Harry?
Did we?
Yeah. Me and Vic just
I was here, but I was dead on the floor. Oh! I just assumed it was an L for us. Okay, let's get it, boys. Come on.
Oh my god, I've driven off already.
I watched that.
Guys, I told you I'd let you down.
You haven't let us down, Bez. You let yourself.
I know. Oxen.
Simon's here now.
I'm alive down here, lads. I'm alive.
You think you got a chance?
Alive. I don't know how I've got to where I am. I am alive. There's some good cardio there.
Josh gone. Josh is gone.
Oh, yes!
Josh
I didn't think we had our chance, but of course we do.
3v1. He's fine this time.
Me here with the tactic, it's fine.
Shit!
Harry! Oh, Harry!
I can't play these games, bro.
Get the move, Simon.
Yes!
Jump out and go to the final round.
Go down and make sure they die. I'll stay up there, I'll go down.
Oh, hang on a minute. Jesus Christ.
What's up, bro? What's up? Would you like it?
How do you hit?
Oh, no, I got it.
Oh my god. Toby has joined the fight. Oh my god.
Oh
my god, I'm stuck.
No.
Harry, the speed.
Hold it down, hold it down.
I'm trying. Hold it down. I'm stuck. Oh no. I'm in the blender. I'm in the blender.
Oh no,
I'm in the blender.
out of nowhere.
What's going on?
Do what? Wait. What's happening? I'm not dead.
I'm alive in the blender.
So am I.
Oh, there you are. I'm here, bitch. I'm dead. I'm dead.
I'm dead. Oh my god. I'm dead.
Oi! You're permanent.
What's happening?
Go on, big girl.
Come on, Toby! Never!
Simon will never die.
I'm just being impaled on the wall.
Just stay there, Toby. That's fine. Yes! Yes! I don't know what happened.
Lads, this is it. Make or break.
Harry got baited so hard.
No, it was all part of the... Need to be out the fray anyway.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We are entering the Sea Championship.
It's called a motor race, Toto.
Let's have it.
Sorry, mate. It's not right.
Oh my god, I've done it again.
No,
Bro! What the fuck just happened? Bro, can't be bothered.
No! Oh, yes! 1 for 1. 2v1. You boys got this. Toby, you can do it.
My pain is immeasurable.
Oh no.
Boys, please. Come on! Sorry, boys.
Oh no.
Oh no. I'm so sorry, Simon.
Well, it's fine.
It's Simon versus Toby. I don't...
I think a fist fight. fist fight, bro. Yeah, Toby, have a fist fight. Toby, have a fist fight. Please have a fist fight. Toby, take a fist fight. Yeah, let's go. Scrap it. Scrap it. I will not lose again. Simon with a bang. Push that. Oh, Toby with a combination. Come on.
Oh,
You're on this. Bro, I see you. You're on this dodging shit. Come here. What? Oh! Oh, laying down the spine. Toby's whack now, you lot. Bro, he knows what he's doing, man. Jesus. Oh, God. Bro, hit the dodge and punched him off the platform. From 2-0 up to 3-2 down. The reverse sweep. The reverse sweep. I can't believe what I've just seen. I can't believe it. Okay, Bears went to the shambles, bro. Like 2 rounds in a row. See you later. At the first round, I was a spook. Go-kart race. KO Pellicor. And Rubio invites you to see this I can back. Harry's been waiting his whole life for this. Harry, put all the money on yourself. Oh, don't you worry, what is Simon's carrots doing? What, I'm swimming on that? You're swimming. Doing Coke Rico, that's why I'm swimming in the pussy. Jeez. Who's this way? Who's this Donny? Who's this Donny? Me. Here we go. There's 2 Donnies to the right. Oh, what the hell? Oh, there's their Donnies. Who's this one? Oh! Wait, what? Oh, wait, you're doing a proper race to start. Is he yes to do it? Okay. What are you doing? Ow. Oh my God. Do you mind? What? Oh, I missed it. What the hell? Oh, it's lads. Lads. I think I missed it. Mix, you better beat me. What? Are you alright?
Job done.
Oh, lads! Fucking hell! You're not doing too well, lads. I want to take part of the blame here. That's a red flag. That's a red flag. We got a safety car. That's a yellow flag. Harry's in the pits. I don't like how I'm so far back already. I'm not even in contention for the pit. Harry, this is the one thing that you love. Wait, that was you. I thought that was Josh. Boys, Josh is 10 seconds ahead of me and he touched the safety car. Michael Massey. Oh, Michael, mate, he might help you out. Let's say you a shortcut there, right? Oh, fuck. I'm into it. It's fine. We take a shortcut. What the fuck? Lads, keep in between the white lines. Shortcut. Oh, keep in between the white lines. No, I gave you back the time. Oh, then you gave me back the place. This is race control. We've been told to give the place back to the finger. Thank you. Where are we going? Jungle, bro. Where did the excitement go? I actually find this really hard to follow. Oh no, tree! Oh no. Get Aye! That's a flag. Yeah. I don't know what colour flag, but it's a flag. There's contact on the racetrack. Safety car's out. Safety car's out. Alright, 40% speed reduction, Josh. Safety car's out. 40% no overtaking. Red flag. Safety car's out, no overtaking. Josh, you have to keep the tyres warm. You have to keep the tyres warm, bro. Are they yellow flags in the front? Yeah, the line is coming. Keep the tyres warm, safety car's out, mate. Here it is! Can the safety car go fucking quicker? All the tyres out. Where's Harry? We need to work about fucking years back. Harry's on the tyres. The championship will be decided on 1 lap. That's it, fellas. Harry's here. Yes! Oh, no! What's that line going? Green flag! No! Red flag. Oh, wow. What is the order of the... Right, line up on the grid in the position that we're in. I was first. Oh, what are you doing here? Which order? At the end? Yeah, with the red flag. I'm right at the end. Josh, get behind me. Take me up easy. Harry, I was there. I was there. No, if I had said he was there. Alright, here we go. Alright. And it is right out. Oh, here we go. Oh, there's been a huge pile up at
Lads, I'm having an absolute oh, but keep in between the white lines, Harold! Once OKC comes up the inside. Here we have the two members of Bowden Boys Esports Racing. They're going for the Constructive Championship. Harold Dino in first place. Can he hold on? The final lap! Oh no! Oh my god! You sent it on the inside. That was even that time. No, you sent it on the inside. There was no gap.
That's outrageous, Josh. That's outrageous.
So much drama.
It's not worked out.
So much drama. Road to short here, heading towards his first race win.